The choice is yours. You have 5 spots to add 5 X-Men characters to Marvel Rivals, but who do you pick? When it comes to the X-Men character pool, there are so many good options, and a top 5 list could easily turn into a top 15. With the likes of Cable, Kitty Pryde, Beast and Iceman, and many others, all of their powers are incredibly strong and yet unique that makes them memorable and fan favorites. Today we're diving into our top 5 X-Men that need to be added to Marvel Rivals and what abilities we'd love to see them have. What's up everyone, welcome to Rivals Nexus, your #1 headquarters for everything about Marvel Rivals. We'll bring you the latest news and updates, and once the game's released, we'll have the best player guides for characters, maps, and more, as well as the community series where we'll show off your best plays and highlights, so make sure to subscribe and stay connected. Starting off our list at #1 is none other than Wolverine. His ferocity and deadly retractable claws make him the perfect choice for a DPS role, with an average health pool but with passive healing regeneration that makes enemy teams have to focus Wolverine down to take him out of the fight completely. He would use melee hits for primary attacks, and his abilities would be tied to impaling and puncturing enemies with attacks based around his claws. We could also see him use a type of brief and rage ability where he gets a boost of health and damage output, doing a flurry of AoE swipe attacks in a radius around him, shredding enemies caught inside. One more ability that we can come up with does a stab-like uppercut followed by throwing the target down to the ground. Cyclops takes our second spot with his iconic optic blasts, and we had a harder time placing him into a role between DPS and support. Ultimately, we're going with the support role where he can utilize various shorter optic blasts to immobilize enemies along with gadgets to reinforce his allies. He would have access to a very strong damage ability though, most likely tied to his ultimate, where he unleashes one of the more destructive optic blasts, dealing massive damage by those caught by the beam at increased range. Much like our Captain America shield idea to bank off walls, there could be an additional bonus effect if Cyclops angles the beam off a wall or structure to hit enemies. Teleporting in at #3 is Nightcrawler. We think Nightcrawler would fit DPS with a lower health pool, but equipped with an ability set that makes him very quick and hard to lock down. Nightcrawler would have the ability to teleport and turn into a shroud for shorter durations, completely avoiding damage, and also having leap attacks that deal damage and briefly crowd controls targets. He would also have access to a tail swipe in a radius around him, and possibly an ultimate that summons a sword for a brief moment to do a sequence of sword attacks in a cone-like telegraph. Colossus breaks in at #4 and easily steps into the tank role with the ability to turn his body into a steel-like metal and avoid taking damage. Obviously, we can't make him 100% indestructible, so we'd make his steel form break after a certain amount of damage where he's slightly more vulnerable to damage afterwards. Colossus can lead the front of the pack with destructive melee attacks and leaps that cause a wave of damage in various telegraphs, and we see him more of a damage soak type tank that can stay in the fight for a good amount of time, taking the attention away from his allies, allowing them to attack freely. And Gambit plays in for our final spot, and we really like the style Gambit brings with his kinetic potential, card throwing, staff weapon, and general aesthetics. We have Gambit as a DPS and should definitely have an ability to launch out kinetic cards at targets, dealing damage or even swirling around targets, briefly disabling them, and a whirlwind type ability using his staff to deal AoE damage to enemies around him. That rounds out our top 5 X-Men we want to see in Marvel Rivals, and there are so many other characters that it could have easily made this list. We want to know who makes your top 5 X-Men to add to the game and what abilities you would give them, so let us know down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up as that helps us a lot, and make sure to subscribe and stay up to date as our channel will be dedicated to bringing you the best Marvel Rivals content, news, and guides. That does it for this one. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on Rivals Nexus.